Hi guys, let me just do a quick check here because I don't know what's happening with Facebook, because Facebook is telling me as one of my streaming destinations that I should have gone live a long time ago. I need to get that sorted out, and I do believe that it has to do with the change in time zones. Damn. Anyway, that's not how I wanted to start. So, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for being here. Those who are watching, those who may come on a little bit later, those who may check it even much later. I just wanted to share an experience I had a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago. And it's been bothering me from since that day. Bothering may seem like a strong word, but it's been on my mind. Let me say that, yeah? To share the experience I had. And because it's been a compelling thought on my mind, I just said, I'm going to set up a stream today and share it with you. You'll see my fan on my background in the back. That's okay. A few weeks ago, I was heading into town. So I went out to take a taxi. When I reached out on the main road, I was the only one there at the time waiting for a taxi. I'm on the side of the road where the cars are coming in my direction. So I'm standing up on the side where I can jump directly into the taxi. On the opposite side of the road, because I waited a while for a taxi, probably about 10 minutes later, I saw a woman come up on the other side of the road, lower down from me. So she was a distance, lower down from me. And somebody accompanied her, a relative or probably a husband or somebody, accompanied her to get a taxi. Now remember, she's on the opposite side of the road. So the cars that she needs to get to go into town is coming in my direction. She would have to stop the car and cross the road, come over on my side, not where I'm standing, but on my side of the road to get into the taxi. So she's on the opposite side of the road. And I was standing there for a while. And I'm like, God, when am I going to get a taxi? But I kept the faith and I said, I know I'm going to get a taxi. It might take a while based on the time of the day. I can't remember what time it was in the morning. And not very early, but it was in the morning. I think probably about after 8 or so, probably 8, because she looked like she was getting ready for going to work or something, I don't know. And so I was there for a while before she came out on the opposite side of the road. I saw her, I looked, I saw her. I don't know her, but I saw her. And I saw the person accompany her. Lo and behold, a car is coming up towards me on my side of the road where I need to get a taxi. And she flagged down the taxi and she got in. Now remember, she came after me, right? Just try and see if you could follow the story. She showed up after me. She wasn't standing there for a very long time. And she got into the taxi. Normal thoughts that would go through your mind. I'm standing here for so long and she just showed up. And she's not even on the same side of the road as me. And she got into a taxi. I could have gotten that. That taxi could have been for me, or it was meant for me. I should have gotten that taxi. But she got it. Another thought that could roll through experience started coming to me while I'm standing there. I'm taking it all in. That's just how my mind works. Let's look at how this is going to play out today. So I'm on the side of the road. I have a heavy bag. I forgot to mention that. So it started to get really heavy. And she got into the taxi. Remember, somebody is with her. So I'm like, okay, let's see how this plays out. Is it because that somebody is there with her? Why she got the opportunity before me? Interesting. If life is like that sometimes. You think that because you have support or somebody there with you, that you will get through faster than someone else who's battling it on their own. Anyway, she jumped in the taxi, and nowadays with COVID, they're only taking 3 persons in a taxi. So it's not to say they're taking the total four, 3 in the back, 1 in the front, plus the driver. Otherwise, I would have gotten in the taxi if they were allowing 4, but they're only allowing 3. So that's another spin on the experience as well. She got the opportunity, I didn't, and so that left me out. So I'm there waiting again. Time is passing, minutes ticking. And on the same side of the road, like her neighbor, showed up. Showed up to get a taxi. I'm laughing, right? I'm laughing because this makes it more interesting. I'm like, okay, this is getting pretty interesting here now. So, Corinne, you're standing here for a long time. The first lady, lady number 1 with company, showed up. She didn't stand up there for not even 5 minutes. She got a taxi coming in your direction. Okay, that's one. We'll let that pass. These things happen. But then lady number 2 shows up on the same side that the lady was on, the opposite side of the road, right near to her, like her neighbor. And I'm like, no way, this is not going to happen again. Where she's going to get into the taxi before me. And I started talking to God, right? I started talking to God. And I said, and I said to myself, I said, God, let's see if this lady, lady number 2, is going to get in a taxi and leave me here. Hear that? Leave me as if she was here with me. She's my friend. No, she isn't. I don't know her. And leave me standing here for a taxi again. Is it that the persons who are lower down, closer to the taxis that are coming in, getting the opportunity? In other words, the perceived notion that somebody's closer to that thing that you want to get you where you need to go. If somebody's closer to it, does it make it easier for them to get it than me? So here's another thought. Should I walk down? Walk down in her direction and either stand up on the same side of the road as she did or as the other woman did and catch something, or go past them so that I can get it before they do. Now, these things happen sometimes. These things happen sometimes because in that strategic move, I've taken taxis, travel on the road, and sometimes you do that to make sure you get it. But this time I said, no, I'm not moving. But the thought did cross my mind. So I'm standing there and I'm saying, I'm going to watch to see what's going to happen. So she's there trying to get a taxi, and lo and behold, a taxi is coming. She flags it down. And I said, okay, Corinne, watch this. And it seemed as if the person, the driver, said, whatever she may have asked, I don't know which direction she was going, because the sign that she's standing on takes you, you could take a taxi that could take you, no, the sign that she's standing on, no, the car that she's waiting could, let me not confuse you. She flagged down the car and she spoke to the taxi driver. I can't hear what they're saying, but just from the little movements I'm seeing, it seemed as if he couldn't take her, or wherever she was heading, he wasn't going there. He came up, he started coming up to me. He did not pop his horn to ask me if I'm going somewhere. He had space in the car. He did not pop his horn. And he kind of proceeded to drive. And I think it's because I shouted out where I was heading, the town I was heading. I can't remember if I flagged him down. Probably I did. And I think I called out the location of where I was going, and he stopped. And I jumped in and I said, this is interesting. A couple of thoughts ran through my mind about what is for you when the time is right. And that no matter what happens, your time is going to come. It might seem as if others are getting through and you're not. It may seem because of where they are positioned or who is with them, the kind of support they have. And you may have no support. You may be a lone ranger that you feel that's the reason why you're not getting through. You may feel because of where, like I said, your position, because I could have walked up and positioned myself beyond them with the intention or hope that I would have gotten into a taxi before they did. Not necessarily. Because sometimes a taxi, depending on the pace at which it's driving, not that it don't want to stop for you or see you, but it bypasses you, and the person standing after you may end up getting it. So sometimes the opportunity may be passing as well, so fast that it just passed by you. The speed at which you move is different to the speed at which the opportunity moves. But while I was standing there and contemplating and looking at the dynamics of everything playing out and just smiling to myself, I had somewhere to go, you know. I had somewhere to go. But I just was so somewhere in the moment. And I said, I am going to take in this lesson. I just saw it as a lesson. It was, I don't know, I just opened myself to the learning. And I said, you know, this is so interesting. I'm enjoying this. I'm actually enjoying this. And I said, you know, what is for me to personalize it, you know, and I mean, you can personalize it because that's why I'm sharing it. What is for you is for you. You are not to determine when it is to come. Yes, we all want things at a particular time, but you are not to determine when it is to come, how it is to come, who is going to bring it. You don't know. And the fact that the second woman reached out to the taxi to ask, you know, or to negotiate where she was going, and he said no, it just wasn't her time. It was my time then. And she came out, like I said, not even 5 minutes after the first woman who left in the taxi, the first taxi. But it was my time then to get that opportunity, that taxi to go where I was going. The taxi had to turn around to head in the direction where she was standing. So she was still there and I saw her and passed. And this is what happens. Sometimes you leave people behind. And you have to leave people behind in order to get where you need to go. This may seem probably nonsensical to some, but I know that most of you, if not all of you, have gone through this because we all travel in some way or form. It could be a bus, taxi, train, and we're there waiting. But you find with a taxi, it's more dynamic because at least with a train, a plane, or something, you know, there's a standard time. When you're out on the road waiting for a taxi, there are other people competing for that same taxi or a taxi to get to the same destination. With a train, it takes in more people. With a plane, it's the same thing, and there's a standard time. So you know, 10 o'clock is the time it's supposed to show. This is the time everybody boards. It's not the same. But with a taxi, the dynamics, there are more variables involved. And it's just quite interesting to see how people react in situations like this, because I have had situations where, as I'm talking about it now, it's like demand and supply. I did economics way, way back, so forgive me if I get anything wrong. But the supply is small and the demand is great. There were 3 of us there at a time trying to get one taxi. So the stakes are high. And when the stakes are really, really high, the human being tends to go into animalistic survival mode. And we tend to do things that we think will help us to get what we want faster. So the thought of walking up in their direction and be ahead of them so that I could get a taxi is one of them. And I've done that in the past when things were really, really bad, when I was living in another location, you know, when the supply was really, really low. And you have to do what it takes, because all that's in your mind is that I need to get where I want to go. I need to get home, or I need to get to work, or I'm tired, and you know, but everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody's saying the same thing. It's just interesting to me. And a couple of other things, a few other situations have happened to me, as I'm sure things have happened to you. And I just felt that I wanted to share this experience, because if we are aware, conscious, and it's more than consciousness, if we are aware of ourselves, of what's going on around us, there's so many lessons if you just take the time, breathe, relax, be present in the moment, be present, and don't be so quick to shoot from the hip, but just breathe and take it all in. You would realize your thoughts and what you want to do not line up. The emotions and feelings that's going on within you do not line up. And it has to be a sort of quick but yet slow process. Quick but yet slow process of discerning all of that, to be able to make a decision at that moment, what would be the best thing to do, or even the best thing to say. The best thing to do or the best thing to say. I'm going to come on here every now and again. I can't say how often I will do it. But, well, before I do that, one of the things I need to sort out is this Facebook issue, because Facebook, clearly something is happening where I would set a stream for 3:15. It will show up that it's 3:15 on my Facebook page, but yet it's not making the connection. It's making it seem as if I'm supposed to go live long before. So there's some sort of time zone disconnect. Again, it's not lining up. When things don't line up, it goes out of whack. So as soon as I get that sorted out, but I'm not going to stop just because of that. I still have my YouTube, and I can copy the YouTube link over to Facebook in the meantime, and so that you guys can see it if it interests you. And feel free to share, because there are persons who need to hear this, who need to become aware and realize that life's lessons, if we just take the time and be present, You'll be able to see the answers right in front of you. It's right there. It's right there. Just stay calm. So the lesson from that for me, or one of the many lessons, is when something is for you, it's for you. Everybody's going to get their turn at the right time. And as much as you may have to wait, and the waiting, yes, it is a lot. The waiting is a lot. I could tell you, the waiting is a lot. And it can really test your faith. And I think that's what, I know that's what faith is about. Waiting, and you don't even know what or if it's going to happen. You're just waiting. And you're not just waiting with your two hands up in the air, you know. You're doing things in the meantime. But that thing you're waiting for, you're just waiting, and you don't know when it's going to happen. That thing could be a job, it could be a relationship, it could be money, it could be travel in this situation, trying to get exemption to leave the country or to come into the country. It could be seeing your children. It could be an investment. It could be trying to purchase a car. It could be anything that you just have been waiting on for so long and you just don't know when. And that's fate to me. Waiting without knowing. And sometimes you're not even seeing. As much as you're aware, you may not even see signs, but I can tell you the signs are there that help to motivate you and keep you on. And what were the signs in that taxi situation that I know I would not have been standing there all day? Oh, hell no. I would not have been standing there all day waiting for a taxi. Even if as many people came and on the other side of the road and get a taxi, I would get a taxi. I would. It might take longer, but I would. I wouldn't be standing there all day. No way. No way would I be standing there all day. So no matter how long it takes, in the end you say, you know, it's worth it. And you have to also think, when that one taxi, because the first taxi with the woman, it wasn't the right one for me for whatever reason. For all you know, they may have taken a route that may have thrown me off or done something, I don't know. So sometimes you're there rushing for that one thing and think that the first one that comes or that one is meant for me and I'm going to tussle and grab and get that. When that one isn't really meant for you. It may be the second. It may be the third. So the taxi that I managed to get, the second taxi that came along, and the other woman and the second woman was still waiting. That one was meant for me. And the one that would come and pick her up is the one that's meant for her. You know? At that time, it's not to say you have choices that you could say, no, I don't want to go in that one. No, 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 no. We didn't have much choice. We didn't have any choice. It's whichever one comes first. You know, but I got the second one. That one was meant for me, not the first. And I just stood there on the side of the street, just processing all of this. Just taking it all in. And I said, you know, I prefer to be in this aura, to be in this state of mind, this level of consciousness, as opposed to fretting, cussing, quarreling, say, where the taxi them? What happening? I prefer to bring joy, a learning experience to what is happening, positivity, because remember I was heading somewhere. I'm going to be doing business. I'm going to be meeting people and doing the business. And I don't want to carry that energy in the taxi to the business places I would have been going. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want when I go out and meet people and come back in, I am with more joy, not frustration and fretting and cussing and biting and then I would have gone in the taxi. I said, God, longer waiting for people have done it, longer waiting for a taxi. And oh my God, what is happening? Is there something happening on the road? Why do I have no taxis coming up? No, not saying that. As I got the taxi, I said, thank you, Jesus. That was it. Thank you, Jesus. I sat down in the car quite comfortable because it's just three of us now in the taxi with COVID. And I sat comfortably. I was able to rest my heavy bag down. That was my concern. I just needed rest. I just needed rest to take that heavy bag, knapsack off my back that I was carrying. And I knew I would have had to carry it into town and move around with and come back with. I was just contented, happy to have been sitting and relaxing, and I can just jolly go my way and come back in. That was my focus, and to get what I had to get done. So a number of lessons, and I hope this was able to reach someone. I don't know who, it doesn't matter. It's meant for you. Have a good evening.